Hello students, this is the third episode of the electricity series. In this video, I have covered Ohm's law and all the other parameters concerned to that, namely current, resistance and power. I am Monisha. I usually take classes from 8th grade to 12th grade students and I am in teaching field from past 10 years. Physics and mathematics are my only obsessions. Let's start the session with an inspirational quote. The quote says, try and fail and don't fail to try. So never ever sit idle without trying. No matter what happens in the future, stop worrying about it, live in the present day and face whatever comes to you. Coming to electricity map, I have already completed two main topics of electricity, that is electric current and potential difference. Hope you find it helpful. If you have any doubt, queries, anything, you just comment me in the comment section below. I will try to answer those questions. So students, what is Ohm's law? Ohm's law was developed as a means of explaining how electricity operates within a closed circuit, how electricity moves, how the electron moves, and what is the relationship between current, voltage and resistance. This is the main reason for the Ohm's law formula. The Ohm's law formula helps to communicate the relationship between different properties within an electric circuit. The basic properties of electric circuits are voltage, current and resistance. Ohm's law is the most basic of electrical formulas and was developed by simply observing the properties of electricity within the electrical circuit. Here you can see a simple circuit. A simple circuit consists of a power source, a load, conductor, an overcurrent device and a control device. Current will flow in this simple circuit if there is enough voltage present to overcome any circuit resistance. There should be enough potential difference. Then voltage is considered as a pressure. Voltage is always considered as a pressure to move the electrons from one point to another point. So voltage is considered as a pressure within an electric circuit. It is approximately called electromotive force or EMF. This pressure or force is caused by dissimilar electric poles wanting to balance themselves. So what is electromotive force? It is a difference in potential that tend to give rise to an electric current. In electromagnetism and electronics, electromotive force is the electrical action produced by a non-electrical source. Devices known as transducers provide an EMF by converting other forms of energy into electrical energy, such as batteries. Batteries convert into chemical energy, or generators which convert mechanical energy. The push and pull imposed by electrons in a conductor connected in these dissimilar poles will force the electrons to move by electromotive force. Okay, if there is a complete path for them to travel on, the only thing that can stop the electrons from moving is resistance. The resistance is a thing you can see in this diagram. The resistance is a thing which makes the push and pull of the electrons. So the resistance applied below that or beyond that of the voltage, pressing them to move or break in the circuit, that disrupts or obstructs the flow of those electrons. It takes 1 volt of this electromotive force to push 1 ampere of current through 1 ohm of resistance. I will repeat it, students. It takes 1 volt of this electromotive force to push 1 ampere of current through 1 ohm of resistance. This is the basic of Ohm's law. So voltage, you can take it as capital V, is equal to current multiplied by resistance. In other words, V is equal to IR. So what is resistance? It is a measure of the opposition of current flow in an electric circuit. All materials resist current flow to some degree. Each and everything in the universe have some resistance. They fall into one of the two broad categories. One is conductors and the one is insulators. So conductors are those materials offer very little resistance and which will make a path for electrons to move easily. Whereas insulators are the materials which have high resistance where electron movement will become stringent. Next, going to the basics of current, voltage and resistance. Suppose we take a circuit of a battery and a light bulb. You can see here There is a battery and a light bulb in the circuit diagram. We can make it slightly more complicated by adding a switch. You can see a switch over there. When the switch opens, you have to see that when the switch opens, the charged particles are prevented from passing through. Particles with the same charge repel one another and they therefore spread out throughout the wire. You know, like charges repel each other and unlike charges attract each other. For a light bulb to turn on, the switch must be closed. You can see in the diagram, when the switch is closed, the light bulb will glow. When the switch is open, the glowing will stop. So as to create a complete path for the charged particles to flow around the loop. If we have several light bulbs, you can see in the second diagram, in tunnel wiring circuit, there are several bulbs and each have its own switch. If we have several light bulbs, each light bulb can have its own individual switch, or we can have one switch which controls all the light bulbs. In the case of third diagram, we have only one switch which controls all the light bulbs. So the number of charged particles that pass by each second is what we refer to as in current. You can see the first diagram where how the electrons are moving in each second. So the number of charged particles that passed by each second is what we refer to as current. So the charged particles flow through the light bulb because the battery causes them to have a higher potential energy on one side of the light bulb than the other. There should be some difference. If the voltage is same, there will be no current. There should be some difference. So this potential energy, what we refer to as voltage. So voltage is potential difference which making the electrons to flow and thereby glowing of the current. So if both sides of the light bulb are at same voltage, if they are at same voltage, then no current will pass through it. It is the difference in voltage that determines the amount of current. As the voltage across the light bulb increases, the amount of current through the light bulb also increases and the light bulb produces more light. You have to know the fact that if the voltage is same in either side of the bulb, then there will be no flow of current. For the flow of current, there should be some difference in the voltage. There should be some potential difference. If there is difference, it makes the electron or pushes the electrons to move. And only by the movement of these charged particles, we obtain the current. So coming to this, a simple circuit. When the switch closes, it causes the two different parts of a circuit. That is, it connects to be at the same voltage. I have already told you that when it closes, what happens when a switch closes? It causes the two different parts of a circuit that it connects to be at the same voltage. And if no current passes through a light bulb, then this means both sides of a bulb are at same voltage. If a bulb is not glowing means you have to think that point, that in either side of the bulb, same voltage is there. If there is same voltage, no current will flow. So if there is potential difference, the bulb will usually glow because of the difference and running of the charges. A properly working battery ensures that the difference in voltage across it always at a specific value. If the battery is proper, if the battery terminals and the chemical reactions which is happening inside the battery is proper, then it will maintain this potential difference across the bulb for a specific value. All points that are directly connected to each other through a metal conductors and closed switches are at the same voltage. This means that if we have several light bulbs, you can see in the second diagram, if there are several light bulbs connected to a battery in parallel, the voltage across each light bulb is equal to the voltage that is produced by the battery. If the battery is connected as a parallel connection, then the voltage across each bulb is equal to the voltage that produced by the battery. If the battery is producing some amount of voltage to it, then it will divide the voltage in each battery. If for example, if the voltage is 3 volt, then each battery will divide it to 1 volt, 1 volt and 1 volt. So it divides the voltage, and altogether the voltage will be 3 volt itself, for example. Okay. So the total current drawn from the battery is the sum of all the currents drawn by each of the light bulbs. So the total current drawn from the battery. So after giving some considerable amount of input, that is voltage, then we will get a current. We will get an amount of current in amperes. So the current, if the total current is I, then it is equal to I1 plus I2 plus I3. If the first bulb gives the current of I1 ampere, second I2 ampere, and third I3 ampere, then total current is equal to I1 plus I2 plus I3, which is equal to I. So the total current drawn from the battery is sum of all the currents drawn by each of the light bulb. Next, going to the detailed section of Ohm's law. So Ohm's law is one of the basic principles in electronics, yet it is not an actual physical law. Understanding Ohm's law is critical to understanding how the electric circuits work. Suppose we have a battery and a device called a resistor. The battery will create a voltage causing charged particles to flow around the closed circuit, that is a loop. On the other hand, the resistor tries to prevent the charged particles from flowing. The number of charged particles that passes by each second is what we refer to as current, and that current is given by I is equal to Q by T, where I is current, Q is total charge, and T is time. That Q is also equal to Ne, where Q is the total charge, N is the number of electrons or protons, and E is the charge of one electron or proton. E is the charge of one electron or proton. I will explain this Ohm's law by taking this water tank as an analogy. So here the voltage can be represented by the pressure in the water tank forcing the water through the pipe. If there is a small pipe, then the pressure of the water level will increases to push the water outside. So voltage can be represented by this pressure in the water tank. Whereas resistor, the small diameter of the pipe, you can see the small diameter of the pipe, which restricts the flow, which restricts the water flow, similar to the way a resistor restricts the current of the circuit. So how the resistor restricts the current, it is similar way the small pipe restricts the water flow. Next one is the current. The water flowing through the pipe represents the electric current. The more pressure, there is more current. So if there is more resistance, less flow of current. Okay, this can be explained by using this water analogy. Then how we can get increased amount of current? There are three ways to get increased amount of current. We can increase the amount of current output. The first way is to increase the current is to use more batteries to create a larger voltage. So in the first diagram, you can see there are two batteries instead of one. If you take more batteries, the potential difference, the voltage will be more. It pushes more and more electrons to flow inside the circuit. If more and more electrons flow, the current obtained will be usually more. So the first way is to increase the number of batteries in the circuit to create a larger voltage. Next, the second way. The second way to increase the current is to use a resistor with a very smaller resistance. So what is a resistor? It is a device which obstructs the flow of current. If the value of resistor is less, then usually the current flow will be more. If the value of resistance is high, then the current flow will be less. You can see in the first and second diagram, the input voltage is 12 volts in both the circuit. Whereas in first diagram, it is 3 ohm resistor, and in second diagram, it is 6 ohm resistor. In 3 ohm resistor, since the resistance is less, the glowing of the bulb is more. In second diagram, since the resistance value is more, 6 ohms, the glowing of the bulb is slightly less. By this you can understand, by taking resistor of very smaller value, we can increase the current output. Then coming to the third point, the third way to increase the current is to use several resistors in parallel. You can see R1, R2 and R3. These are the resistors which are connected in parallel with the circuit. So what happens if we connect in parallel? So having several resistors in parallel is same as having one resistor with much smaller resistance. So the total resistance will be equal to R1, R2 and R3. That is, it will divide. If it is connected in parallel, the resistance will be divided in each path. So If it is connected in parallel, the resistance will become low. On the other hand, having several resistors in series is same thing as having one resistor with the much larger resistance. So in series, the resistance will add up. The value of the resistance will add up. That is RS. Resistance in series is equal to R1 plus R2 plus R3. That is, the value of the resistance will add up. Whereas in parallel, 1 by Rp. We will take it in reciprocal form. 1 by Rp, that is resistance in parallel, is equal to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3. I will explain it in the next video. Next, coming to temperature and resistance. By this, let us create a precise mathematical definition of the word resistance. Suppose we take voltage across the resistor and divide it by the current passing through it. The result of this division is defined as resistance. So what is resistance? R is equal to V by I. This is referred as Ohm's law. But this is not the real physical law, but the arbitrary definition of resistance. Physical law tells us how the universe works. Ohm's law would tell us how the universe works if, for example, the value of the resistance of a material always stayed constant. But this is not the case. As the current passes through the material heats up, and as the material's temperature changes, its resistance also changes. With most resistors, this effect is relatively small, but in some resistor, this effect is very large. That is, when the material heats up, the temperature will be more, so that the resistance will also be more. In this effect, if this effect is large, we can use it to our advantage. If this effect means if the temperature rises, the resistance value and temperature resistance also rises. If this effect is large, we can use it for our own advantage by using resistor as a temperature sensor. So temperature sensor is an advantage of the heating up of the resistor. By placing a voltage with the known value across the resistor and measuring the current that passes through it, we can calculate the resistance of the resistor. This would give us information about the resistor's temperature and therefore also give us information about the temperature of a material that the resistor is in contact with. Temperature is just one of the many factors that can cause the resistance of the material to change. However, when we say that the resistance changes, all this means if we take the voltage across the resistor and divide it by current passing through the resistor, we will not necessarily always get the same number. The fact that the number that we get at any given time is always equal to the resistance of the material is simply due to the fact that this is how we define the word resistance in the first place. That is, R is equal to V by I, potential difference by current flowing through it. Therefore, the relationship between current, voltage and resistance is expressed in Ohm's law. This states that the current flowing in a circuit is directly proportional to the applied voltage and inversely proportional to the resistance of the circuit, provided the temperature remains constant. That is, V is equal to IR or V by I is equal to constant. That constant is R resistance. That is, the R is the proportionality constant. So Ohm's law is the relationship between potential difference across a conductor and current flowing through it. So what it states, the current flowing through a conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference between its ends, provided its temperature remains constant. We can write in a proportionality way, that is, V is directly proportional to I. V is directly proportional to I, but it is not equal to I. There is some resistance with stopping it. So that resistance is called as a constant. When we include that constant, we will get V is equal to IR, where R is the proportionality constant. And this is a circuit which we used for the verification of the Ohm's law. I hope you understood a concept of what is Ohm's law and how it is used to solve the problems occurring in the electrical circuits. So I will give a small quick example for that. In the first diagram, you can see here, you can notice the input voltage is 10 volt. If the input voltage is 10 volt, the output current obtained is 10 amperes. Input is 10 volt and output is 10 ampere. Voltage is 10 and current is also 10 ampere. In the second diagram, you can notice here, the input voltage is 100 volt, whereas the output current is 100 ampere. Voltage and current, input and output is same. Whereas in third diagram also you can notice here, you can do this by using the formula of Ohm's law, that is V is equal to IR. So V is given 50 volt and we will get I as 50 ampere, whereas the resistors used is 10 ohms and 1.11 ohms. So this states that V is always proportional to, directly proportional to I. That is, voltage is always directly proportional to current. If voltage increases, current increases. If voltage decreases, current decreases. But voltage and current is inversely proportional to resistance. That is, V is inversely proportional to R. If resistance increases, current decreases. If resistance decreases, current increases. So we need to know why the resistance SI unit is ohm. So ohm, the name ohm comes from George Simon Ohm. In order to honor him, the SI unit of Ohm's law, that is resistance, is taken as ohm. Then who is George Simon Ohm? You have to know him. George Simon Ohm was a German physicist and mathematician. As a school teacher, Ohm began his research with the new electrochemical cell, invented by Italian scientist Alessandro Volta. Using equipment of his own creation, Ohm found that there is a direct proportionality between potential difference applied across the conductor and resultant electric current. This relationship is known as Ohm's law. So, he is the man behind V is equal to IR. Ohm's law, which makes the solvation of all the circuit problems easier. So, we have to salute this person. Next, have a quick recap: current, voltage and resistance. So what is current? An electric current is the rate of flow of electric charges in the circuit, which is measured in amperes. Next is voltage. Voltage is the pressure from the electric circuit. It is the pressure from the electric circuit power source that pushes the charged electrons through the conducting loop, enabling them to do work, such as illuminating a light. Next, resistance. Resistance of a component is the ratio of potential difference across the component to the current flowing through the component. So it is given by R is equal to V by I, where R is resistance, V is potential difference and I is current. The SI unit of resistance is ohm. The SI unit of power is watt, current is ampere and voltage is V, volts. Let us summarize once again. After current, voltage and resistance, time for some quick science facts. Everyone kindly go through this and boost your brain with some science charges, real electron science charges. I will read out only one. World's smallest poisonous frog is less than a centimeter long and its skin is 200 times more toxic than morphine. Morphine is the most poisonous chemical. So the outside layer of this frog is 200 times more toxic than morphine. Wow. Images and video clips have been taken from various sources of the internet. Some images and video clips have been modified according to the syllabus. Image courtesy google.com, video courtesy youtube.com. Use this video for education purpose only. If you have any queries, doubts, please comment me on the comment section. And if you subscribe it will motivate me to do even more videos in maths, science, physics, chemistry, biology, and also in general knowledge topics. In my upcoming videos, I will be uploading some general topics about India, history of India, and how Indian medicines, Ayurveda, everything come into existence. Thank you.